Our exclusive interview with Dr. Deborah Birx. She was the first White House COVID coordinator in the Trump White House. She's out with a new book, Silent Invasion, the untold story of the Trump administration, COVID-19, and preventing the next pandemic before it's too late. Dr. Birx, welcome.
Thank
Good to see you here this morning.
Glad to be here.
Your account of the time in the Trump White House is pretty excruciating, and I know they came to you, you're right, that they came to you several times before you actually said yes to the job. Do you wish you hadn't done it?
No, I'm glad I did it because I think I was the only one around the table that had on-the-ground pandemic experience. I had 20 years of experience battling HIV, TB, and malaria around the globe, including Zika, Ebola. And I really understood how practical and common sense you need to make things to work with communities to get everybody moving in the same direction.
Yet, as I said, the account is pretty excruciating of, given the actions of President Trump, the inactions at times of the White House. Was there any moment when you said, no, this was a mistake, I may be doing more harm than good?
I think every day I ask myself, but I always ask myself, what have I done today in relationship to the data? What has it taught me? Are we moving in the right direction? Are we learning in real time? Are we making a real difference to American lives on the ground? And that was my indicator. Every morning when I could, and every evening I could say yes, meant that we were making progress. And that's part of the reason I wrote the book, so that everybody in America could see what was really happening, what was really getting done. Because if you don't understand what was happening, then you won't fix it for the next time. So I wanted to be very transparent about what went right and what didn't go right.
What may have been your toughest day in the White House. We all remember at that time when President Trump came to the podium at the press office and talked about investigating disinfectant as a possible treatment for COVID. Let's take a look.
Then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me.
Looks like he's looking at you. We all saw the look on your face. You write that you wanted to fall through the floor.
Yeah, I think it's really, and that's why I wrote about it in the book, because this was a tragedy on many levels. The first tragedy is the whole point of asking the DHS scientists to do the work was so children could get outside and play on playgrounds. And so we asked DHS scientists to look at disinfectant and its impact, because we knew it had an impact on COVID on the surfaces, and compare it to sunlight, because we knew sunlight had oxidative potential. And we wanted parents, spring was coming, we wanted them to be outside. All the New York playgrounds had been closed. And we thought if we presented the data, then parents would take their children back outside. He went, and as you can see, he wasn't speaking to me. He was speaking to the PhD scientists who presented the data and presented in that task force and then in the briefing. I didn't realize it. That scientists went into the Oval Office and they started that discussion there, and they continued it in front of America. At the beginning, I didn't even know what was happening. I couldn't understand how disinfectant and sunlight for outdoor playground equipment became this. And I think the scientists and the president had talked about it having a potential therapeutic.
And then he called on you. And
Finally.
Yeah, he finally did call on you. You basically contradicted the president. What happened in the White House after that?
Well, many people don't know me, but I'm a pretty direct person. So I immediately went to his most senior staff and to Olivia Troy and said, this has to be reversed immediately. And by the next morning, the president was saying it was a joke. But I think he knew by that evening, clearly, that this was dangerous.
You did write that at one point you were muzzled by the White House.
Nationally. But at the same time, the communication team is out with me on the road, and we're going state by state, and I'm doing local press. So that was always the dichotomy, what was being said versus what was being done. And that's why I think having a book from someone who was actually in the West Wing, not someone who was in an agency or someone who was, covering it, but someone who actually saw what was happening day by day. So when the president would talk about decreasing testing, he was signing defense production acts of billions of dollars to increase testing. So that was my metric. Are we making progress on the core parameters that I think are critical to save American lives?
What was this pact you had with Dr. Fauci?
With all the doctors in the doctors group. Dr. Hahn, Dr. Fauci, and Dr. Redfield.
And what was it?
It was if any one of the individuals were under so much pressure and they were fired that we would all leave together from the task force. And I think that was really important because I really wanted to protect Bob Redfield and Steve Hahn, and they were under enormous pressure.
Dr. Birx, thanks very much. The book Silent Invasion is out tomorrow.
Thank you,
Thanks for coming
George.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.